Welcome back to another episode of Stand on Guard. I'm so excited today because we have so much to be hopeful for, and I'm going to explain what I mean by that when we come back. So we are in a very precarious position in this country. We need political change, but we also need the resolve to resist. Yes, please ring the bell like Sasha always did. Like the broadcast now if you can. It really helps beat the algorithm, and it beats Trudeau censorship because you get notifications when I'm on the air or when I'm broadcasting or when a broadcast is coming up. And please subscribe if you haven't. We've gotten 500 subscribers in the last couple of days on the last video, and thank you so much for the response. It was overwhelming. I was out the other day, Sunday afternoon, as a matter of fact, at the Axe the Tax rally in Ottawa. It was at the Infinity Center. And no, they're not paying me to say that. They should be. Just near the airport. Must have been about 3,000. And it sort of felt like a Madison Square Garden venue because Pierre was right in the center. This is Pierre Poilievre, conservative leader, doing the rally. He's been all across the country, of course, doing these rallies from East Coast to West Coast, Vancouver to Halifax, Fredericton, all points in between. I believe this was his first stop in Ottawa. And of course, his riding, his constituency is in Ottawa. He's the only conservative MP in the Ottawa area. But as he said at the rally, that's going to change in the next election because there's a lot of Liberal seats that are going down to defeat. A lot of Liberal MPs in the Ottawa area are going down to defeat. They've got a great bunch of candidates running. They had some of them there on Sunday. But it was a great event because it wasn't just about axing the carbon tax and spiking the carbon tax hike, which is coming on April 1st, 23% escalation in the carbon tax. That's the tax that Prime Minister Justin Trudeau likes to foolishly label the tax on pollution. Carbon is not a pollution. I'll go no further than that, but it's not pollution. We're all for getting rid of real pollution, toxicity in the environment that can kill us. Carbon doesn't do that. And I'm not going to go on about how ineffective the carbon tax is. I do that quite a bit. It doesn't have any effect on greenhouse gas reductions, either in Canada or globally. We still have to drive our cars. We still have to heat our homes. All it does is impoverish us. And as I'll explain later, the so-called Canadian carbon rebate is not putting money in your pockets. But I'll get into that. What I really wanted to talk about today is what I didn't have a chance to discuss in the last broadcast because I was so busy getting the news out that I didn't dwell on something that really affected me when I was there watching Pierre Poilievre deliver this dissertation, not just about the carbon taxes. As I explained the other day, he talked about banishing his caucus members from fraternizing with the World Economic Forum. That was huge. That drew huge applause. He reiterated his promise to defund the CBC. So I think he's serious about this. And he made a commitment to parental rights, saying, parents, they're your children. They don't belong to the state. They belong to you and the family. The family is paramount, not the state. And he's tired of Justin Trudeau telling parents how they should raise their children. And he's definitely siding with those who say, stop indoctrinating children in gender ideology. And the provinces are following suit on this, just as they are with Pierre Poilievre's move to axe the carbon tax. 7 out of 10 provinces now are opposed to the carbon tax because it's impoverishing Canadians and it's having a very deleterious effect on the economy because it doesn't just tax home heating fuel and gasoline. There's a cascading effect. Every time goods have to be moved to the grocery stores, it costs more money, and so on and so on. But what really affected me in Pierre's talk the other day was a moment when he described a Canada without Justin Trudeau in charge. You know what it reminded me of? Ronald Reagan, U.S. President Ronald Reagan, who I was a huge fan of. He inspired me as a young man, as a young boy. He was the first real political leader that inspired me to be interested in politics and to think we could make a difference. Now, Reagan was all about positive conservatism. He was never into negativity. He was always talking about how positive conservatism meant freedom, individual liberty, economic freedom, prosperity, free speech. These were all things that Reagan talked about. And in 1984, when he was up for re-election, and it was actually one of the largest landslides in American history. I think in terms of the Electoral College, I believe it was the largest ever. And in terms of the popular vote, it was number 2 or 3. He had about almost 60% of the vote in 1984. And here's the commercial that people remember from that 1984 election.
It's morning again in America. Today, more men and women will go to work than ever before in our country's history. With interest rates at about half the record highs of 1980, nearly 2,000 families today will buy new homes, more than at any time in the past 4 years. This afternoon, 6,500 young men and women will be married. And with inflation at less than half of what it was just 4 years ago, they can look forward with confidence to the future. It's morning again in America. And under the leadership of President Reagan, our country is prouder and stronger and better. Why would we ever want to return to where we were less than 4 short years ago?
Okay, now that is beautiful. That was one of the greatest political ads ever produced. And it is just incredibly inspiring. But that's where Pierre Poilievre went the other day at the Ottawa rally. He channeled Ronald Reagan in terms of offering hope and optimism to Canadians about what Canada can be like again. The Canada we all knew when we were growing up. The Canada we all used to share. The Canada we all used to be a part of. The Canada we were proud of. The Canada the veterans died for. The Canada the veterans fought for. The Canada that was great. And can be great again without Justin Trudeau and the Liberals. I tell you, Pierre Poilievre entered that realm. Is Pierre Poilievre Canada's answer to Ronald Reagan? I don't know. I hope so. But he was there the other day. Listen to this. Listen to this. And if this doesn't remind you of the commercial, of the political ad I just showed you from 1984, I don't know what else you can say. Because I do believe Pierre Poilievre was talking just like that. Listen to this.
With how terrible things have gotten, it's easy to forget all the blessings that have been bestowed upon this country. But as much as the Prime Minister tries to divide one from the other and tries to turn us against each other and forget our past, it's easy to forget all that we had, and how good it was and how much better it can be. So let me paint the picture for you of children living safely, playing safely in their streets as they walk off to school. Their parents no longer worried about the dangers of crime in their neighborhood, of seniors driving home from the grocery store with groceries in their trunk and change in their pocket, of soldiers strapping on the finest of equipment and having the best technology. Of a small business owned by a couple closing down the business after one more successful day, of cash in the till, of happy employees, and of a safe storefront they don't have to worry will be broken into. Of local legionnaires, maybe from the Barhaven or Manotick Legion, sweeping away the debris and planting fresh flowers at the local cenotaph in honor of the community's fallen but not forgotten. And as the sun goes down over the beautiful cornfields of North Gore, we can hear in the village kids playing their last 10 more minutes of street hockey before mom and dad call them back to bed. And then silence. And a young couple sit on their front porch, soaking in the beautiful summer air with a Canadian flag hanging proudly from the front of their brand new home. And in the calm and the country air, their eyes meet in a way that can only mean we made it. We did it. The promise of Canada has been kept. All the hard work has paid off because finally we're home. These are our people. That is our country. This is our home, your home, my home, our home. Let's bring it home.
Now that was a moment of splendor, political beauty, if there is such a thing. That was it. I remember that Canada. I want that Canada back. I remember a Canada when we used to focus on family, on traditional values, on work ethic, on getting success in our lives, on achieving prosperity, on just being proud to be Canadian, not being distracted every day by talk about catastrophic climate change, not being distracted by Pride season, not being distracted by talk about 12-year-olds getting sex changes, not dwelling on state-sponsored euthanasia, not thinking that the Chinese are influencing our elections, not worrying because the government spends twice as much as it takes in revenue, not constantly being obsessed with being on the precipice of economic disaster, but waking up in the morning and saying, I am proud to be Canadian. I am going to work today because I'm not going to be taxed to death. I'm going to keep most of my income, and I'm going to bring prosperity to myself and my family. And I'm going to have the right to speak freely because I am a Canadian. That used to be what Canada was all about. And that's what Pierre Poilievre, the official leader of the opposition, the leader of the Conservative Party of Canada, is talking about right there. And I had a minute of inspiration there when I heard that. That's what I thought of. I don't think I've heard that from a Canadian politician in a long, long time. And it reminded me of Ronald Reagan, as I said. Great moment. Hang on to that. Because if Pierre Poilievre wins the next election, and he will win because he talks about the positive side of small c conservatism, libertarianism, which means individual freedom. Freedom from the excesses and the tyranny of the state, which is what the Trudeau government has been bringing us now for 8 years. And that has got to end. I hope you enjoyed that part, because that to me was everything I wanted to hear on Sunday when I went to that rally. But of course, Poilievre did talk a lot about the carbon tax. And all we ever hear from the Liberals is how it's putting money in our pockets and how 8 out of 10 Canadians are getting more money back than they put in through taxes. Nonsense. And let's find out why here.
The majority of Canadians, are the majority of Canadians better off or worse off even after you factor in the rebate?
Well, once you factor in the rebate, but also the economic impacts, based on our modeling, the majority of households will see a negative impact as a result of the carbon tax.
Okay, that's the parliamentary budget officer. Can't get much clearer than that. Negative impact. So every time that the Liberals, whether it's Justin Trudeau or Stephen Guilbeault or Chrystia Freeland, when they stand up during question period and they lie to you about if more money in your pockets with this rebate, remember what the objective parliamentary budget officer said. That's the reality. You're not getting more money back. And here is specifically what's going on here. The Liberals are referring to an old report. That's an old report. The new report indicates a completely different picture. And let's specifically see what it says. Parliamentary Budget Officer Yves Giraud said, based on our analysis, most households will pay more in fuel charges and GST, as well as receiving slightly lower incomes than they will receive in climate action incentive payments. That's the truth. That's where we are. We are not getting more money back than we are being than is being taken from us. We are not getting more money in our pockets. It's a Liberal lie. It's Trudeau's lie. Just like everything about this is a massive distraction, and it's a tax grab, and it's a scam, and it's a means of keeping you not looking at the issues that really matter in Canada. Climate change is not being affected by this carbon tax. And even if it was, Canada produces less than 2% of global greenhouse gas emissions. And it's not like we live under this little umbrella where Canada is not part of the global greenhouse gas effect. So it's all nonsense, and it's a Liberal lie, and it's impoverishing Canadians. Thanks for watching today. I will be back again tomorrow with more of the news you want to hear. And I will be doing an interview Friday. I think I'll be really going to enjoy this. I'm Clayton Morris from Redacted is coming on my show for a change. And we're going to talk about the transition from new media to independent media. There is increasing emphasis on independent media as opposed to new media. Because new media, and I'm talking specifically like groups like the Daily Wire, which is acting like old media, but new media is now beginning to sound and act and conduct itself just the way legacy media always has. So there's an increasing focus on independent media like I'm offering here, and Clayton and Natalie Morris offer every day on Redacted. And by the way, if you have a chance, I will be on Redacted today talking about this incredible situation in Calgary this week where a judge has overturned an injunction that a father of an autistic woman wanted because she is seeking medical assistance in dying. I'll probably be talking about that more on this broadcast later, but I'll be on Redacted today talking about that. Thanks for watching. Your support is appreciated. Thank you for watching this episode of Stand on Guard and being a part of the KRAYDEN'S Right channel. If you've watched this episode to this point, you've watched it all. And that's really important for a small station like this. We always say subscribe, hit the bell, be a part of the KRAYDEN resistance. Resolve to resist. That's what we're doing. And if you become a subscriber, if you're a supporter of this station or a member through Substack, through YouTube, and now you can be a local as well, that's so important to us because I couldn't do this without you. I made a decision to become an independent journalist about a year ago because I wanted to bring all of my experience in the military, in journalism, to you. I don't promise anything I can't deliver. I don't offer clickbait. I offer truth. The truth is out there, and it's my job to bring that truth to light and to you. Thanks for being a part of the KRAYDEN'S Right resistance, and we'll see you again soon. So we are in a very precarious position in this country. We need a political change, but we also need to resolve to resist.